Perhaps you've noticed that other people's trauma always looks like it should be pretty easy to deal with. You might want to say to them, "Hey, the thing that happened to you is over. But now it's just a memory. And memories are flawed, subjective, subject to human error of evaluation or interpretation, coloured by emotion and negative self-talk. And the memories and the self-talk change, sometimes a little, sometimes a lot, every time we think of them, because we're human and we haven't got a perfect video recording in our heads. That's why expert witnesses have to refer to notes in court, notes that were taken immediately after an incident. So in reality then, trauma isn't real. It's just a memory of something that happened in the past. And the memory isn't real either, because it's different. Maybe at least just a little bit from the actual something that happened. Whatever it was. There's an interesting question you might want to ask someone who appears to be stuck in a situation they would actually like to move on from. Perhaps there's some feeling, perhaps love, or loyalty, or vigilance, maybe revenge, or grief, even hatred, that started the pattern of behaviour, of stuckness. And perhaps you can ask them, on a scale of 1 to 10, how far have you come along the road to recovery compared to where you hope to be at some time in the future, when that event in the past seems a very long time ago, when you can look back at that event, or perhaps events, and your memory's been altered to your satisfaction. Perhaps you can remember all the good things that you want to, like a painting. Perhaps you can forget some parts, or they can seem very small and far away, with beautiful decorations around the edges. Or perhaps the painting in the middle has faded, or been painted over, but with some original parts still showing through to create a beautiful image with special depth, perhaps like someone who's in heaven, coming back as an angel. Or perhaps something really bad that nearly happened, but didn't. Or perhaps something that you used to remember with unpleasant images or words, slowly being re-remembered, and re-remembered, with different pictures and colours, and smells and sounds and emotions and thoughts. Perhaps with a more beautiful, positive, an affirming narrative in your head, which leads to the question, what's your dream for the ideal future? One that you can barely dare to wish for, or one that you might think you don't deserve. Perhaps something as simple as being healthy and happy and wiser sometime in the future, free of all the negative emotions of healed past traumas. Perhaps one of the most interesting things about people is how they're all different, and how some get more stuck than others, and some have more difficulty cleaning up messy memories, or being able to remember things more dispassionately, or more how they'd like to. Perhaps they replay their trauma like a bad horror movie. It's always a little different, but until now, not improving, like a nightmare in the middle of the day. If only they knew that there was no such thing as a bad dream, or a bad story, or a bad movie. because a so-called bad dream or story or movie is just a good one that hasn't ended yet. And it's true. Tomorrow will be another day. And it can be useful to people who are really stuck to become detached. Perhaps close their eyes and imagine a scenario that can help them do this. Like imagining a scene where they get dropped off at a movie theatre. And perhaps their bad scene is playing over and over in their head, and they wish they could move on. So they go into the theatre, and there's a movie of their own bad dream playing on the screen. And as they start to walk down the aisle, they notice that the theatre is completely empty. And so they walk about 2/3 of the way in and take a seat near the centre, not too close to the front. And then they notice there's one person a couple of seats in front of them. How did they miss that? They look closely and they can recognise the back of the head. It's their own self. They're watching themselves, watching a movie of their own bad, whatever it is. But there's something weird happening. The movie's playing at a ridiculous speed, too fast. Now it's in black and white. Now it's back in colour, but it's too bright. And now the colours are all wrong, and the movie's jumping from frame to frame, and now they hear a clunk, and the movie reaches the end and starts playing backwards, in slow motion. Now it's upside down, and they have to kind of tilt their head to see what's going on. And there's a weird soundtrack that sounds like it's being played backwards. Now there's boring elevator music. Muzak. What's that all about? Now the movie's being played forwards again, but there's extra weird things on the screen that shouldn't be there. Birds flying across the screen. Strange trees inside and indoor furniture outside. And the sound is out of sync. People talking and no sound. And now there's delayed sound, like a spaghetti western with the wrong voices. This is wrong. Whoever put this together's got it all wrong. And now the picture is pixelating in strange places. And now it's shrinking to postcard size. And they can hardly see it on the big screen. And now it's even smaller, like a postage stamp. And they can hardly hear the sound at all. And they think, I don't think there's anything more here for me. Nothing more here for me. I'm done here. And when they're ready, they can get up and leave the theatre and open their eyes again. And perhaps they can notice their memory of what you call whatever's it was somehow different. And they can control their thoughts, at least much more than before. I wonder if you've noticed how powerful goal setting can be in helping people progress towards reaching a dream. So why not use it to heal from trauma? If someone's goal was to get to 9 on their road to recovery, even if they're currently feeling closer to 0 than what they'd like, perhaps one way they can do that is to visualize what their life and memories will be like when they achieve that 9. Perhaps even write down what it will be like. Do a drawing, make a painting, write a narrative, maybe even record it. This is your template. This is what you're aspiring to. This is what you're slowly building and painting in your head, in your mind's eye. Your memories alter every time you remember them. So why not remember them how you want to remember them? They're your memories. It's your choice. They can make you happy. You can choose to be happy and immersed in life. And perhaps you can allocate a specific 1 hour per day to re-remembering memories, with all re-remembering to be deferred in a constructive way to this time. And then spend the rest of the day getting immersed in the fullness of life, in the things that give you joy and fulfillment, perhaps exercise or sport or community activities. And later, perhaps reducing that remembering time to maybe 1 hour a week, or less, or as needed. And it's interesting how we're all motivated by positive feedback and tend to enjoy things we're good at. And so it's a good idea to congratulate yourself on any positive progress, because you can expect you will progress. You have progressed already, seeing you started from 0. You've done well. You should be proud of yourself and praise yourself. And it's quite possible that praise will lead to more progress. And these two processes can fuel each other, sometimes slowly, sometimes very quickly. That reminds me of a 20-year-old girl with chronic fatigue who achieved 100% recovery in 14 days after setting herself a goal of being 50% better within 10 weeks. She found a rehab program, and after a first small improvement there was no stopping her. Perhaps an interesting question that someone recovering from a trauma can ask themselves is, how on earth did I manage to improve from where I was to where I am now? Because there are always areas where improvement has taken place. For example, perhaps there are now periods of calm where previously there were none. Or perhaps some physical healing or an increase in strength, even slight, has taken place. And there are many more areas of improvement where people can be proud of themselves, where they can see that they're already on track. So they can also ask themselves, how can I keep that going to get me to my goal? And perhaps one way is humour. There's an old saying, trauma plus time equals humour. Perhaps it can be fun to re-remember some details with creative humour, like having your assailant pee in his pants when you confront him. And of course, this re-remembered version of events is actually imaginary. And if it makes you laugh, that's a good thing, a sign that things are changing in a very positive way. And you know what to do. And you can be very proud that you're making good progress in the right direction. And perhaps your assailant was pretty nervous at the time. It could be true. It's quite reasonable to remember it that way. So perhaps things can change. Things are changing all the time. Things will change. Memories have changed. Memories will change. You can keep the good bits and make them even better. And ask yourself, how can I turn my life into a beautiful painting? Have you noticed when you're swimming just below the waterline, ideas can be floating in and out of your head? You can be healing deep inside, and maybe problems or memories, or maybe shades of grey, or healing colours, shades of pink, or maybe deep purple balloons. You can be healing deep inside. An amethyst or orange can float inside like sparkling lights. And some can be closer, and some can be distant in time, and that's okay. You can be healing deep inside. Raindrop thoughts fall from the sky so softly, softly changing what I see to water, colored memories. You can be changing deep inside. Unfinished things shine on silver screens so silently, substituting what I feel as stories play inside my head. You can be changing deep inside. Rainbows in puddles laugh with me so gently, gently replacing what I hear from what I used to know.